Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. Loving what's going on in the chat. Some of you got that Pearson Cootie first-round leader. Some of you are on Ludwig, who's on top of the board in golf. We've got a great show for you. We're covering golf. We're covering both golf tournaments, actually. We're going to be covering tennis, baseball, some NFL futures. We've got it all covered. And, of course, we got buckets for soccer. So we got a loaded show. Let's see how we did yesterday before we bring in the stars of the show. All right, 3-2. It's a decent bounce back from a bad day. I think this week we've had a winning record on pretty much every day, but the day before, yesterday, was not very good. I think we were 2-5. So trying to even out a little bit. We'll try to hit it strong on Friday and close the week as strong as possible. And how do we do that? Well, on a Friday, we do it with the stars of the show, but we do it a little bit differently. Welcome to BPE Friday. Here we go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Woo!
Mike McClure deep into a book. We've got a classic scarf, some memorabilia from Buckets. We got Chip Patterson. We got all you in the chat. Hopefully you're bopping around a little bit, but if you're not, and if you're feeling a little sleepy somehow on this beautiful Friday, I've got the cure for you. It's something we like to call the Chip Me Up.
Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Buckets. Good morning, M Square. Good morning, State. Good morning, Early Edge fam. Woo! Can I tell you how good it feels to be transcontinental? Can I tell you how good it feels to be in Scotland and Kentucky and London and all over the place? Because we are global this week. Fired up to get into it with you.
Absolutely love it. Chip, you were on the network show with me yesterday. We were talking SEC champ, ACC champ, Big 12. We're 43 days away from college football season, 55 days away from NFL season. Type in your favorite 43 or 55 into the chat. Buckets, I got to ask you, how you doing, man? Where are we in Euro 2024 and Copa America?
See, I am doing well. We are at the very end of international competition with tomorrow featuring both the Euro final and the Copa America final. We've got Spain versus England and Argentina versus Colombia in their respective matches, and it should be good games, hopefully, in both of those.
All right, Mike, I couldn't help but notice, even with the Chip Me Up, you didn't crack a smile. You're in your book, you're in your simulations, you're in your models. How's everything going today?
Very good. We are watching a little live Wimbledon action over on the corner here. However, I will provide a number. You mentioned 43 till college football. Little homer pick. How about Darren Sproles?
Yes.
Number 43, Kansas State Wildcats. We're Darren Sproles days away.
Underappreciated Darren Sproles. There's a lot of NFL players that are very good. We acknowledge them as very good in the present, but when we look to the past, they are forgotten. I feel like Darren Sproles, unfortunately, is going to fall into that category unless there are shows like this that bring him back up. Sproles, hard to tackle.
Well, he's literally overlooked. I mean, he's so short.
Literally.
You literally look over his head when you're standing next to him.
That's right. That's right. If you have a favorite forgotten player, maybe it's your hometown team, maybe it's a guy that you know is really good, but just doesn't get that respect when people look back, type the name of that person in the chat, because listen, if there's anything I love to do, it's reminisce over old NFL players, or former, I should say, NFL players. All right, Buckets. We got a question from Bradley Jacobs. He says, Buckets, are we talking Euros today? I know you have a couple picks. Go ahead and answer that question for him.
So we aren't talking Euros today. I will have Euro picks for everyone tomorrow, I'm sure. But right now, Sia, we're actually looking at the Norway Elite Serien, if you want me to get into those picks.
Let's do it. Let's get into those picks.
Let's talk about the matchup between Sarpsborg 08 and Rosenborg, because these are two teams that you only bet on if you love goals. If you like ladders, if you like betting over 6.5 goals, then this is the matchup that you want to bet. This match is at 1 p.m. this afternoon. And when you look at not only recent form, but also the head-to-head stats between these two teams, these are two clubs that just refuse to play any kind of defense. Defense doesn't even exist for these teams anymore. If you look at Sarpsborg, they have not kept a clean sheet in their last 9. Rosenborg haven't in their last 12. Over 2.5 goals have hit in 9 of the last 9 for Sarpsborg and in 8 of the last 9 for Rosenborg. We just have two teams that love getting in these absolute slugfest, and two teams that know that it's going to take 2 or 3 or 4 goals to win. So you might have fun with the ladders, do what you want here, have a good time, but I'm betting the exact same bet for both of these clubs. Sarpsborg over 1.5 team total at -135, and Rosenborg over 1.5 team total at +102 here. If you look at the reverse fixture when they played back earlier this year or at the end of last year, the match ended 5-2 with Rosenborg losing that one. But we've also seen both teams go over 2 goals in 2 of the last 3 matches. These are 2 teams that, again, offense is the only thing that matters. So they're just fighting for different reasons, but you just got to bet goals on this one. So have fun and don't be shocked if we see a scoreline like 3-3 or like 4-2 with both of these tickets cashing.
Okay, speaking of tickets cashing, let me change the subject real quick because we've got the sniper in the chat who I believe, if the recall is correct, on the recap screen, he was 2-0. He was pretty much the reason we went 3-2 yesterday. He's dropping some knowledge. You have any baseball questions? I know people have already noticed he's in the chat. They've dropped some baseball questions to him. He happens to say he thinks the Phillies run line should be easy money. That one starts at 640. We got Hogan Harris versus Ranger Suarez. I mean, anytime Sniper says something is easy money, I'm going to listen. If you don't want to take the run line, I don't know, maybe a money line parlay that with our sports line pick, which is also a run line pick. It's the Rockies. It's the Mets. It's Sean Manaea on the mound against Tanner Gordon. We've got the Mets -1.5 at -110. I like this pick. I certainly like the Phillies run line as well, given that matchup. But again, sports line pick, Mets -1.5. And we're starting to trickle out, at least on this show, some NFL plays as well. We have team-by-team previews on Sportsline. Literally every single team we preview. We've already got it up there. And we're going to leak out some of these model picks that we have on Sportsline that you can also access on Sportsline. And they're going to be controversial. Part of the cool thing about the model is that it doesn't care about the popularity of the pick. It's churning out what they think the value is. Check this one out. Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons, Kirk Cousins Falcons, to miss the playoffs at +220. This is a model pick for you. Again, there's so many more model picks and team-by-team previews. Mike, I want to get your reaction, not necessarily to this particular Falcons play, but is there a team going into 2024 that is a sexy team, that is a popular team that you're not necessarily on this year?
Dallas Cowboys, definitely fading the Dallas Cowboys overall. They're a team that, they've had a lot of success over the last few years in the regular season, but I did go under their win total. You've seen it move a ton in the market, though. As far as the playoff pick you just gave with the Falcons, I think it's interesting. I think that's a decent bet at that number. +220 implies around 31%. I think that's about right. When you look at some of those percentages, I think that division, while they do look like one of the better teams, I think that division is actually wide open still this year.
Yeah, I go ahead, Chip. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so if you're taking that, you need to feel confident in the Bucks because we're assuming in this world where the Falcons miss the playoffs, I think that the South only gets one team in, right?
Correct.
And that all the other wild cards are going to be coming from the other divisions. And the NFC is good. Like, you have the potential in the other divisions to be able to fill out those wild card spots. Certainly, I've very, very little expectation for Charlotte's own Carolina Panthers to be anywhere in the playoff conversation. So if the South is only going to be putting in one team, then you need to feel confident in the Bucks if you're going to follow the model to take the Falcons to miss, because to me, that's saying the Bucks probably win the division.
Yeah, I think that's completely correct because I don't think New Orleans or Carolina factor in. Although New Orleans could surprise us.
New Orleans could be, that's fair, yeah.
But I'm not expecting that. I think Tampa's going to take a slight step back, but I could be wrong there. And this is where the +220 comes in, because you're right, Chip. If Tampa doesn't take that step back and they take a slight step forward, then it's possible that Atlanta misses the playoffs, because if they don't win the division, to your point, they're not making the playoffs. There's too many good teams in the NFC. The NFC North is packed. NFC East could sneak a second team in. NFC West obviously could sneak a second team in terms of getting a wild card berth. So very interesting play there. If you want access to all of these team-by-team previews, really easy. Go to sportsline.com/join. Type in the promo code winners. A lot of you think that Sportsline is just filled with picks. Hey, we're going to give you a pick and a little description. Well, yeah, we do a lot of that. But the team-by-team previews, Mike McClure's simulations, the model picks, it's all on Sportsline. That includes our articles that Buckets writes, or that I write, or that anybody else at Sportsline writes, the golf articles, you name it. They're all on Sportsline, and you can get literally every single thing. This includes DFS picks. It literally includes everything you could possibly want. Type in the promo code winners. You get 60% off the annual plan, or just scan that QR code. It'll take you right there. All right. We got to get to some picks. I mean, the portfolio is so diversified here. We got tennis coming up. We just talked a little bit about baseball. Maybe we'll talk some more baseball with Sniper in the chat. We've got golf picks. We're going to do it all right after this message from our partners. We are back on the Early Edge presented by BetMGM. Some of the comments in the chat, Civil One says Bob Sanders. That's a good one. You know, great player that's probably going to be somewhat forgotten at his position. Ray Maluga. Let's see. Jamal Charles is an interesting one. Randy White, old school from the Dallas Cowboys. Go ahead and put those names in. I'll give you a shout out. Absolutely love Junior Seau from Scott Snead. That's certainly a good one as well. All right, Mike. We're going to tennis today. We're going to Wimbledon. What's the play?
You know, this is an interesting play here because it's a very interesting situation with Djokovic and Musetti. I'm playing Djokovic in straight sets to start. I will be live betting this match, starting 0.2 units on a straight set victory for Novak. Now, this is typically not a play you'd want to make this late in a Grand Slam tournament, as straight set victories are not super common this deep. However, I think this situation is very unique. Musetti is a player that definitely isn't, like, maturity wise, is not ready at this stage, in my opinion, and has definitely struggled against Novak in the past. But it's also the surface that he's playing on. Musetti's someone we typically wanted to back on clay courts, not necessarily on grass. But looking at Novak, he has had a very easy path to get here, which is exactly what he needed, just coming off of that little tiny knee surgery, but still a knee surgery, still dealing with an injury at 37 years old. He got the fortune of a walkover ahead of this, had 3 full days rest, just simply unheard of in a Grand Slam at this stage. He also had a very easy route when he had a player withdraw in the middle of a first set. So I think this is a great spot for Novak, by far the lowest time on court we have ever seen from him in his career to this point in a Grand Slam, and the rest could not have come at a better time. So I love him in this particular matchup. If we do get to tiebreakers, I think that he's got a massive edge over Musetti in a tiebreaker. The only thing to look out for is Musetti in that first set, which is why I will be looking and paying attention to potentially live bet if needed. Musetti is someone who will play aggressive early in first sets. And then when you look at Novak, obviously the longer layoff didn't have that competitive match. He's played enough tennis. This is his 13th semifinal at Wimbledon. I'm not worried about the hangover much there, but he does start slow occasionally in first sets, which is why I'll be watching live betting. But I think this is a great number. I think the price point here should be closer to 60%, which would be minus 150 on a straight set victory. Likely a number that you would see on the board mid first set, even if things are on serve, say 3-3, that's likely where the market will move to. But I like Novak here. Straight sets over Musetti, just a great opportunity for Novak to get back to another final.
Let me ask you this. Do you know what time this match starts in case somebody wants to sweat that first set potential live bet like situation with you?
It will start when the match that's playing now is over. Okay. So Alcaraz and Medvedev won the first set, so likely looking at a longer match in front of them. The only thing, if you're really wanting to live bet and really wanting to dig into it, watch for Musetti. So the reason why Musetti's been good on grass right now is he has been pretty good at varying different spins on the ball. He's got a really good backhand slice, which could give Novak a little trouble, but Novak knows that is coming. He absolutely knows it's coming. I think about a knee injury, having to bend more to go down and get that backhand slice is likely where he's going to put him. But I think Novak and his team knows that's coming. So, watch out for the backhand slice. If it's having a lot of success early, Novak could be in trouble, but I think Novak should roll here.
All right, real quick, and I've got some follow-up buckets. I'm going to put you on call if there's something soccer related, but I do want to go back to you, Mike, and then to you, Chip, real quick, because Big Cheesy was in the chat. He mentioned Avery Johnson for the Heisman at plus 2,800. I seem to recall a couple months ago, Mike, you talking about Avery Johnson for the Heisman at like twice the number, but you can correct me if I'm wrong there. But I want to get your reaction to Big Cheesy's Avery Johnson call, because a lot of people aren't familiar with him. And again, we're Darren Sproles days away from college football season. You're going to want to get familiar with Kansas State, with Avery Johnson. And then Chip, I want you to maybe comment on Avery Johnson, but also we talked about a Big 12 pick yesterday. You're not going with Kansas State or Utah. I want you to address who you're going with and why. Just real quick, maybe we'll spend a couple of minutes on this. Mike, talk to us about Avery Johnson and whether that number is still good at plus 2,800.
Lightning speed here because there's a lot to say. But yes, got him at 70-1. Still like it at 28-1. I think he'll be down to 15-1 by week 5 or 6 if they get through that Colorado game. But when you look at Avery Johnson, I don't think a lot of people understand the situation. There's a guy who will be starting quarterback likely for the Ohio State Buckeyes that was forced out of Kansas State. He is the number 1 quarterback in the transfer portal. Mr. Will Howard was forced out of Kansas State. He left Kansas State because he would not have had a job. Avery Johnson will be the starting quarterback, would have been the starting quarterback. So the thing that's fascinating here, though, our friends at 24/7 Sports have this little athleticism list. They call it the freaks list, but they run these athleticism tests. And at the same age, he was beating guys like Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson in terms of all of these metrics that they test, not only for overall athleticism, but actually playing the quarterback position as well. And then just the schedule's friendly. You look at the new Big 12. There's no Texas. There's no Oklahoma, right? There is a newcomer that's really good in Utah, but Kansas State doesn't play them. They get their rival Kansas with Daniels at quarterback in Manhattan, play Oklahoma State in Manhattan. It's just a very, very friendly schedule for them to potentially get to the college football playoff. That is why I like Avery Johnson here to win the Heisman.
Love Avery Johnson.
Go ahead.
But
Go ahead, Chip.
He's electric. I mean, and what does a Heisman voter need? A Heisman voter needs highlights. There's over 800 Heisman votes out there. And so often, many of these voters, and like I'm a voter as well, and I think I am on the watch the most ball of the Heisman electorate, because I think there's a lot of people that are just watching the highlights, and Avery Johnson will be a part of every single Kansas State highlight. He's got enough offensive versatility too, and they lost Colin Klein to Texas A&M, their offensive coordinator, so we got to pay attention to how things change. But I do think that when you've got somebody who is as talented as that, and I love that Mike just brought up the Will Howard part of this, because that's another reason why I'm looking at Oklahoma quarterback Jackson Arnold. Dylan Gabriel left to go to Oregon, and Dylan Gabriel has been very productive for a long time. Why did he leave? It's because Oklahoma's staff was ready to start Jackson Arnold. That's another second-year quarterback to keep an eye on, much like Avery Johnson. And I wouldn't take Jackson Arnold for the Heisman, but factor it into your Oklahoma futures and the way that you're playing the Sooners in the early weeks. And last thing, the Big 12 is too competitive for me to look at the prices of to win the conference and take either Kansas State or Utah. I love everything that Oklahoma State brings back. They get Utah in Stillwater. I think that they've got a great home field advantage in T. Boone Pickens Stadium. I just don't think anyone's going to get through the Big 12 conference schedule without taking a loss here or there. So I like the value of Oklahoma State at nearly 9-1 to be able to win the conference. Something that, look, Mike Gundy has had less experience, less talented teams get to the Big 12 title game, including just last year where they lost to Texas in the Big 12 title game. So I like that value there, being able to get them to take the next step.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you excited for football season yet? Because my adrenaline is peaking right now. Buckets, let me go to you real quick, because I don't know if there's a soccer question in the chat for you to address. David Talk looks like he has a question. Buckets, Spain over England, Argentina over Colombia, he's asking. But any Euro leans as we get into that final?
Mute button. Hoisting the trophy.
Tragic.
That was crazy, because I started that take by apologizing, because that was a lot of college football, and I'm not a college football guy. So I was just trying to focus and maintain my composure during the last 10 minutes. But I'll give everyone a couple leans for Spain versus England. Both teams to score has now hit in 4 out of England's last 5 matches, albeit a lot of the times it hits in the last 20 minutes. But that's currently plus 105 on MGM. If you do want to bet on both teams there, I think that's a good look. For a player prop, look at Lamine Yamal. The 16-year-old for Spain is the youngest player in football history to score at the Euros, to assist at the Euros, and to have 3 consecutive shots on targets over 3 games at the Euros. Him to have 1 shot on target against England is minus 120. I think he'll score at plus 450, but the dude is just an absolute monster. He's 16 scoring for his international team and making it look easy. So bet on anything and everything Lamine Yamal as well for Spain.
All right. Love the leans there. I'm sure we'll get more from you as well. Jeff Sternberg says, is Avery Johnson more electric than Chip, though? Hardly. I can't wait. There's going to be so much college football content. You're going to be seeing some picks from, of course, Tom Casale as well. You mentioned Oregon. I know he likes Oregon as a potential national championship contender in this one. Not contender, but potentially to win. Let's go to a round 2 3-ball for the Isco. A lot of people talking Genesis Scottish Open. We got Ludwig at the top there. That's looking very good. Let's go with Mac Meisner in a 3-ball this afternoon. He's one of my 3 outrights at the Isco. I don't think he's going to win. Pearson Coody got out like way too high. We hit the first round leader there, 60-1. Hopefully you're following me on Twitter. That pick came out kind of late yesterday, or I should say 2 nights ago. Either way, I like Mac Meisner's game. This 3-ball's against Austin Smotherman and David Bradshaw. David Bradshaw is not exactly like a PGA Tour player. I think he's played in 8 events in his life. He's 41 years old. He actually shot 2 under yesterday, so that's pretty impressive, but he's not going to compete with Mac today. Austin Smotherman's really the only factor here, so I look at this as a -120 over Austin Smotherman, and Smotherman can pop here and there. But the here and there is like kind of few and far between, if I'm being honest. Meisner's been very consistent over the last 3, 4, 5 tournaments. Really like his game. It's part of the reason I liked him outright in this tournament. He was okay yesterday, not great. I expect him to rebound a little bit better today and certainly to be better than Austin Smotherman and David Bradshaw. Give me Mac Meisner -120. For the record, if you want to take this on BetMGM, or any of the other picks we've already discussed, we've got a really cool token you can get today. BetMGM has you covered with placing your bets on Friday. BetMGM customers can receive a 33% profit boost token on any straight play today. Log into the BetMGM app for more offer details. Again, that's any straight play today. In other words, any sport, you're going to get that 33% odds boost token. I don't know why you would want to miss out on that. So check that out. All right, Scott. I was going to say Chip. Chip, Scottish Open. You've got to play for the Scottish Open, Chip. So let's talk about where you're at there.
Yeah, shout out to the McClure clan, the descendants that led to the Pattersons that brought us to America. So yeah, we keep it Scottish when we can. All right, we're not going to go with the Scot, though. We are going to go with Sung J M, who, as long as it is not a major championship, is nothing but a top 12, top 5 kind of player. Because Sung Jae at the U.S. Open could not putt, miss the cut. At PGA Championship, Valhalla, different course, different greens, could not putt, miss the cut. Masters, miss the cut. But everything other than that, since the Masters, has been T12 or better. And here's what I'm paying attention to, because, and for those who are watching or listening, he has completed his second round at this point. He is, after going really, really low, 7 under in round 1. He didn't putt as well. He putted his face off round 1, but it was a little bit more average of a putting performance for Sung J M in round 2. But I'm okay with that, because what did he do? Even without great putting, even with average putting, still shot a 3 under 67. And so what I think we've got is a situation where Sung Jae, who is always, we know, such a strong ball striker, he is putting well enough to be able to contend to win. So I like getting a little live Sung J M top 5. If you want to add some outright, like plus 1,400, plus 1,200 to your portfolio so that you've got a lot of different ways to win on Sunday, then I would definitely respect that as well. Nothing's better than firing up CBS for a final round on Sunday with your coffee and having a couple different dogs in the fight. But right now, what I'm looking at is, especially given his performance outside of major championships, when he is putting well, and he is so far here at the Renaissance, I'm going to go with Sung J M top 5 with a little plus money.
Professional pronunciation, Renaissance. I just keep it to Renaissance, knowing I'm wrong every time. Much like next week, I'll probably call it the Open Championship. But if you were to call it the British Open, I wouldn't be particularly mad at you. You know what I love doing? Chip, you just mentioned things you love. I love reminiscing about old school NFL names. Ed Anarumo says Christian Okoye. There's a bunch of names I missed that you all put in here. There's a bunch of bets I missed in here as well. Hopefully some of you in the chat got those bets, because there were a ton of them. Appreciate all the participation. And frankly, if we weren't talking so much NFL and college football, I probably would have gotten to 75%, if not all of those plays. So again, very much appreciate everybody's participation and their hitting of the like button as well. Let's take a look at the recap screen. Let's see what we got today. Mac Meisner, -120 over Austin Smotherman. This is the Isco Championship round 2. This is the alternate event off the Scottish Open. This is at regular time, so this one doesn't go off for another couple of hours. I'll note that during the Open Championship, the Barracuda Championship will be the PGA sort of alt event there. I'll have plays for that tournament as well. I really like these alt events, as was illustrated with my Pearson Cootie first round leader yesterday at 60-1. Buckets, Sarpsborg, team total over 1.5 at -135. Rosenborg, team total over 1.5 at +102. Mike McClure is going to Wimbledon. Djokovic, 3-0 versus Musetti at -110. And Chip Patterson, Genesis Scottish Open, Sung J M, top 5 at +160. Our SportsLine picks, Mets -1.5 at -110. And don't forget, Sniper had some picks in there as well. Look at all the information in the chat. And we've got also a model pick, Falcons to miss the playoffs at +220. A reminder, if you go to sportsline.com/join, and if you join or if you're already a member, you can check out the team-by-team previews, very detailed previews for each and every team. It's going to make you smarter going into fantasy football season, betting season, and with your friends when you're talking ball. Everybody likes to be a little smarter when they're talking to their friends, talking ball. We like to be a little richer. So hopefully we'll cash a lot of these tickets today. We definitely diversified the portfolio with the golf, the tennis, the baseball, the soccer, you name it. We've got it on the early edge. Everybody have a great weekend. Make it a profitable but a positive one more than anything else. On behalf of Chip Patterson, Mike McClure, Buckets, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, and the Sniper in the chat. This is the Early Edge. Have a great Friday, everybody. I'm the Counselor of Cash. We rest our case.